Hello, Ana and Pilar. This video goes with your study guide for Thursday, April the 16th. Okay, so as always, we're going to start with your book and we're going to do a listening today. So I'm going to ask you to turn to page 103 in your books and you're going to look at exercise 5. As always, before you do a listening, you need to prepare yourself for it. So here it says, you are going to hear the introduction of a short talk on the resource curse. What do you think it is? Listen and find out. So the first time you listen, that's all you're listening for. You're just trying to figure out what they mean by the resource curse, okay? The second time you listen, you're going to be using exercise 6. So before you listen a second time, you're going to want to read through the notes in exercise 6. And you're going to think about what kind of word you're listening for in the gap. You're also going to make a note of any words that you don't understand in the notes for exercise 6. And you're going to look them up and write them down before you listen a second time. Okay? So you listen a second time and you try to fill in the gaps. And if you need to listen a third time to get all the gaps, then you listen a third time. There's not a problem with that at all. Okay? Remember that you have an audio script to the listenings at the back of your book, but that should be the last thing that you look at. You want to look at that after you've finished doing the listenings and you finish doing the exercises that go with them. And then finally, you're going to turn to page 207, play the listenings again, and read along. Okay? I've attached the sound files for you to this email so that you can do exercises 5 and 6 as well as exercise 8. Okay? So after you finish with exercise 6, you're going to move on to exercise 8, which is a different listening, but it's the same topic. It's a continuation of the previous listening. So again, before you do the listening, you're going to look at what kind of information you need to listen for, right? So once you've read exercise 8, you do the listening. If you need to do it a second time, you do it a second time. And you're going to answer the questions in exercise 8. Remember that your answers are at the bottom of the study guide. I've written the answers out for you. Okay? In this unit, you're going to be working with passive voice. So before we do the passive voice exercises on page 103, I'm going to save those for another day. I'm going to ask you to look at the grammar explanation for passive voice that's at the back of your books. It's on page 180. Okay, so you're going to go to the back of your books and you're going to read about passive voice. And remember, passive voice, no matter how complicated it is never any more complicated than the verb to be in some form or another, present, past, present continuous, with the verb to be, always the verb to be, and the past participle of a verb. It's never, ever more than that. So you're going to read through the explanation for passive voice on page 180, and then you're going to do exercises 1 and 2 also on 180. And the answers to these exercises are at the bottom of your study guide, all right? And then we'll save the passive voice in your unit for another day. I think this is more than enough grammar for one class, okay? All right, so I will be sending you a study guide for next week as well, and we'll talk some more then, okay? Bye-bye.